For this recording, I just wanted to do something slightly different. One of my own experiences that occurred when I was around 9 years old. As is often the case with supernatural encounters, there was a great deal going on at that time. It all began with various people around me becoming obsessed with the Ouija board, and they acquired the usual character that comes through. A young girl, as it happened, who gave them an elaborate story about where she lived, what she'd done, how she died, that sort of thing. The group happened to ask when they'd all die, a really profoundly stupid question. And this entity responded that the youngest girl present would be the first to die, a prediction that turned out to be correct. She died a short while later, cut in two as it happens. Not a pleasant way to go. Did that have anything to do with that entity? Well, that's hard to say. A few months later, I woke in the middle of the night. I was actually then sleeping in the room where most of those Ouija board sessions had actually been carried out, and I became aware that there was a cat sitting outside my room. I used to sleep with the light on, that I could just see its shape moving in the darkness out on the landing. But for some reason I wasn't fully awake, not enough that I seemed to react as I should, and I went back to sleep. I told everyone the next day that there was a cat in the house, but my parents claimed that that wasn't possible. Strangely, I did find cat hairs, but that could have been a mistake as we had a dog at the time. The next night, it came again. This time, it wasn't moving around. It was sat still at the top of the stairs, and it appeared to be watching me. 2 red eyes, without a word of a lie. It's that cliché that people say. How many times do you hear it in horror stories and creepypastas? And there they were, 2 glowing red eyes. Again, I didn't react. I half sat up, but didn't get up, and then went back to sleep. The following night, this repeated, but the animal was just at the border of my room, eyes still glowing, its body jet black, but it didn't come near. The very next night, it returned again, but this time I woke and it was in the same position, but it came towards me, walking a crooked path. I had a mouse at the time as a pet, and the cat completely ignored it and stared only at me. Its eyes weren't glowing. I can only remember them as grey and lifeless. I didn't feel threatened. I didn't actually feel anything. I just sort of acknowledged it and went back to sleep. The next night came, and this time I woke up with no cat. I went and used the bathroom and returned to my bed, wondering why this nocturnal visitor wasn't there. The room felt strange, slightly oppressive. And then my wardrobe door flung open, and a calendar threw itself off my dressing table top and out into the room. A calendar that was actually in front of a mirror, and I was overcome with an intense sensation of fear. There is no other way to describe it. And I could feel something on the bed, invisible, but gripping hold of my legs, paralyzing me and moving up my body. I screamed, as a child does in that kind of a situation, but no sound came. It probably only took a second for that to change, but it felt more like minutes. And all the while I could hear this voice. I couldn't tell what it was saying, like countless whispers all together, loud. And then the scream came, and people came, parents, sister. And that then began a period in my life where I never slept, other than fleeting glimpses of it after dawn. It was me and that thing every night, and if ever I thought it wasn't there, or I ceased to be bothered as much, it would demonstrate that it was by moving something. And it's a very odd reality never to sleep, and to have some kind of an entity as a companion every night. When I went away on holiday, it would tear claw marks in the wall and leave bite marks in toys. After a year of this, eventually one night I was stood in front of the window, looking out into the darkness, and I realized that this creature required my fear. That is what it wanted. When at that point a hand appeared, also reflected in the window, moving across the back of my curtains towards me. I knew I was in the room alone, but it got within inches of my head before I turned to look at it. But there was nothing there, and that on the face of it brought that particular episode to a close. A lot of other events took place in the following years, some of them involving that particular mirror. But I had no encounters with any odd cats after that, until I broke up with my first long-term girlfriend. And she had a particular personality that liked to toy with people. A bad choice. And when we split up, she moved out, and a cat came to my door, yowling to come in. Never happened before, never happened since. But I like cats, and so I maybe made the wrong decision letting it in. When I opened the door to the cat, which was probably a little foolish on my part, it walked straight in like it owned the place, went upstairs, got on the bed, and proceeded to writhe around, with the same odd, grey, lifeless haze around it that cat had had when I was 9 years old. I also foolishly let it stay. But eventually, when the atmosphere got a little too obvious, it moved out and went to live at a house further down the street. But it would visit and sit at the window, staring in, its eyes like saucers. Just a cat. Or just a cat that had something sat on its shoulder, guiding it, using it. Who knows? But what fascinates me in all that is what on earth that creature was, or is. A creature that can assume a form. Possibly can assume any form. And stories and creepypastas are one thing, but reality, true fear, and real supernatural experiences are quite another.